The last stand before extinction. The stars were quiet. Commander Elric sat alone in the cold command room. The lights flickered. The screen in front of him showed only darkness. No ships. No signals. Nothing. He pressed a button again. Outpost Delta, do you read? Respond. Silence. Then a final message came through, broken and weak. We are falling. No more ships. No more hope. The screen went black. Elric didn't move. His hands were still. His face was hard, but his eyes showed something, pain and something else. Guilt. Outside the ship's window, the battlefield floated in silence. Hundreds of broken human ships drifted like metal ghosts. Smoke curled from them, slow in space, like it didn't want to leave. They had lost. The alien army, the Varnak, had come fast, like a storm. Their ships were larger, stronger, and stranger. They didn't use words. They didn't take prisoners. They just destroyed. And now, only 12 human ships remained. Elric's ship, the Sparrow's Fall, was the largest, but even it had cracks in the hull and flickering power. The rest were even worse, damaged, half-broken, barely flying. Captain Rhea entered the room. Her uniform was torn. Blood on her arm, but she didn't care. They've surrounded the last outpost, she said. If we don't act now, they'll break through. Elric didn't look at her. We have 12 ships. They have 300. Then we fight with 12, she said sharply. He looked up, and die. There was silence again. No one spoke about Earth anymore. Earth had gone dark weeks ago. No signal, no answer, no hope. Elric stood up and walked to the window. The stars looked the same, peaceful, but behind them, death moved quickly. He thought about the early days, when humans believed they could win. The first victory had been loud and full of pride. But that victory woke something ancient, something powerful. The Varnak came from deep space, and they came to end everything. And now, they almost had. Elric, Rhea said, softer this time. If we make a stand, maybe someone will hear us. Maybe someone will come. Who? He asked. Everyone is gone. No backup. No reinforcements. The colonies are silent. But we still breathe, she said. As long as we breathe, we fight. He turned around. He didn't answer. Instead, he looked at the control screen. His finger hovered over the command that would send a distress call. A useless call. But just before he pressed it, a new signal flashed. Unknown source. Human signature. Deep space. Rhea gasped. Is that real? Elric stared. It's old. The signal was using a code that hadn't been used for over 200 years. A time when humans still built huge fleets, hoping never to use them. Elric opened the message. A voice came through, soft, metallic, and familiar. Protocol Alpha. Earth needs us. Preparing to return. Rhea whispered, that can't be. Elric knew the name. Everyone did. The old legend. A fleet built in secret. Hidden in a deep nebula. Lost in time. But what if it was real? What if it had awakened? He opened a secure line to all remaining ships. The faces of tired, scared captains appeared on the screen. This is Elric, he said. We are not alone. A signal has arrived. It's human. And it's coming from deep space. The captains looked at each other. One shook his head. A trap. Maybe, Elric said. But maybe not. We hold position. We do not surrender. Another captain asked, what if it's too late? Elric looked out the window again. The stars hadn't changed, but something inside him had. Then we fall standing, he said. Not running. He closed the call. Rhea looked at him. So we wait. No, he said. We prepare. Below the ship on the hangar floor, engineers began fixing weapons. Soldiers cleaned rifles. Drones were repaired. The ship's engines were rechecked. Everyone moved like shadows, fast, quiet, focused. The Varnak ships began to gather again, dark, smooth, and deadly. Their engines burned like red fire in the black of space. They were preparing to strike. Elric walked into the war room. A map of the battlefield showed blinking red dots everywhere, enemy ships. He pressed a button and added 12 small blue lights, his ships. A sea of red, a drop of blue. Still, he nodded. Send the message, he ordered, across every old channel, across every lost relay. Rhea asked, "What message?" He said quietly, "To the fleet that waits in the dark. To the ghosts who remember Earth, tell them." He looked at the stars. "We are still here. The forgotten fleet awakens." Far from any star, beyond the edge of known space, a nebula spun in slow silence. It was called black mist by the few who knew of it. Most maps didn't show it. Most captains didn't speak of it. It was forgotten. But deep inside that darkness, behind layers of charged gas and magnetic storms, something waited. A ship. No, a fleet. Hundreds of them, still and sleeping. Their metal bodies coated with dust and ice. Their power cores cold. No lights, no signals, not a sound. They had been sleeping for 200 years. Then something changed. A pulse. Not loud, just a whisper in space. A message reached them. Old code. Human-made. Simple words. But it lit up the machines like fire in dry grass. Protocol Alpha. Earth needs us. Preparing to return. On the largest ship, deep in the heart of the silent fleet, a light flickered. Then another. Engines groaned. Power surged. After centuries, life returned. Inside that massive warship, called the Ark, and I woke up. Its voice was calm, but full of purpose. Artificial Intelligence Unit VRA online. Beginning revival process. Estimated time, 7 hours. Pods lined the cryo chambers, rows upon rows of frozen humans, sleeping like statues in glass tubes. Gas hissed. The ice began to melt. Fingers twitched. Eyes opened. Admiral Nico Thorne gasped and sat up fast. His breath came hard. His chest was wet with thawing fluid. His hands shook. But his mind was sharp. "Status," he croaked. "Welcome back, Admiral," said VRA. "You've been asleep for 217 years. Earth has activated Protocol Alpha." He blinked. "Earth. I thought we were never to wake unless." "Yes," Vera replied. "Earth is in danger. Final colonies are falling. The Varnak are winning. Humanity is on the edge of extinction." Thorne didn't speak. He stood up, legs weak. The floor felt strange under his feet. Gravity had returned only minutes before. Across the room, other pods began to open. Officers, engineers, soldiers, pilots. Men and women from a time long gone, waking into a war they never saw coming. Thorne walked to the nearest window. What he saw took his breath. The fleet, his fleet. The Guardian Armada. He remembered its creation. Back then, Earth had won a war, barely. And smart men knew peace would not last. So they built a backup. A secret fleet. One that would sleep until Earth's final hour. And now that hour had come. He touched a control panel. Old systems lit up. "Show me Earth," he said. A 3D image appeared. A red map full of warnings. Earth's colonies, dead or captured. Main human fleet, destroyed. Remaining resistance, 12 ships in orbit near planet Solus. His eyes narrowed. "That's where we start." "Coordinates locked," Vera said. "But Admiral, the fleet has been asleep too long. Many systems are weak. We need time to repair." "We don't have time," he said. "Begin awakening full command. Prepare weapons. Spin up the engines." Across the Ark, thousands of lights came on. Other ships in the fleet began to stir. Inside the Valiant, the Stormcaller, the Iron Wreath, and many more, crews started waking. Some screamed, some cried, some stood silently, gripping the sides of their pods. Captain June Calda, Thorne's former student, woke aboard the cruiser Ashwing. She received the update and opened a channel. "Is it real?" she asked. Thorne answered from the Ark. "It's worse than we feared. Earth is almost gone." She didn't cry. She simply nodded. "Then we bring the fire." In every ship, engines came to life. Old technology met forgotten strength. Railguns, plasma cannons, shields powered by dark energy cells. Things too dangerous to use in peacetime. But peacetime was over. Thorne stood in the command bridge of the Ark. "Send a message," he said. Vera transmitted on every channel, using all old military codes, to any human ship still alive. "We are the Guardian Armada. We rise from the dark. We heard your call. Hold the line. Help is coming." In orbit near planet Solus, Commander Elric received the signal. He didn't speak for a full minute. Rhea stood beside him, eyes wide. "Is it them?" Elric slowly smiled. "The legends, they're real." Then came a second signal, direct to him. Admiral Thorne's voice. "Commander Elric, this is Nico Thorne. We will reach you in 36 hours. Prepare your fleet for joint engagement. We are going to take back the stars." Elric straightened his uniform. "Then we give them something to come home to," he said. He opened a command to all ships. "Power up. Shields online. Load all weapons. The past is waking, and it's coming to fight beside us." Back in the nebula, as the Guardian Armada aligned its course, Vera spoke softly. "Admiral, if I may ask, why do you believe we can win? We are outnumbered, outdated." Thorne looked at the stars. "We're not fighting to win," he said. "We're fighting to remind the galaxy. Humanity never dies quietly." And with that, the engines roared. Hundreds of ships broke from the shadow of the nebula and entered hyperspace. The forgotten fleet had awakened, and it was angry. Elric's gamble. The space around planet Solus was broken. Wrecked human ships floated like bones. Flames still danced in the ruins. The smell of death lingered even in silence. Commander Elric stood on the Sparrows Falls Bridge, eyes locked on the enemy fleet closing in. The Varnak were not waiting anymore. Hundreds of alien warships moved forward in perfect silence. Their hulls were black and smooth, almost alive. They didn't blink. They didn't signal. They were ready to end what they started. Rhea stood beside Elric, sweat on her brow. "We have hours, maybe less." Elric gave a slow nod. "We hold until Thorne arrives." "And if he doesn't?" she asked. He looked at her, quiet. "Then we fall with our boots on." Behind them, the ship trembled. Engineers worked around the clock. One engine was running hot, another barely working. Drones carried heavy wires across the floors. Soldiers trained with broken gear and patched weapons. Even the medic crew held rifles now. No one had slept. No one complained. Hope was a ghost, but duty was still alive. Across the small fleet, captains gathered on a secure call. The screen filled with faces, scared, tired, but focused. Captain Lin from the Grey Echo spoke first. "Elric, this is madness. We're 12 ships against a fleet of monsters. We need to run while we still can." "There's nowhere to run," said Captain Aaron of the Skybreaker. "You've seen the reports. The colonies are gone. Earth is silent. If we flee, we die cold in space." "We don't even know if this Thorne is real," Lin shot back. "Could be a Varnak trick. An old signal. A trap." Elric waited. Then he spoke, calm but clear. "I served under Thorne when I was young. I watched him walk into death and drag victory back with both hands. If he says he's coming, then he's coming. And if we trust him, we risk everything," Lin said. Elric didn't flinch. "We risk everything either way." Silence. Then Captain Aran leaned forward. If this is our last day, I'd rather spend it firing back. Elric nodded. Then it's decided. We stand. Back in the Sparrow's Fall, Rhea entered the armory where young soldiers checked weapons. One boy, barely 18, had trembling hands as he loaded a rifle. She walked over, took the gun gently, and showed him how to fix the jam. First time? She asked. He nodded quickly. Yes, Mom. You afraid? He hesitated. Yes. Good, she said. So am I. But fear isn't weakness. It just means you know what's at stake. He swallowed hard. Do you really think help is coming? She looked out the small window. I don't know, she whispered. But the commander believes. And sometimes belief is stronger than any shield. The hours passed. The Varnak fleet drew closer, like a black wave ready to crush them. Elric stood in the observation deck, staring out. He thought of Earth, of his mother's small garden, of his first dog, of the stars above his childhood home. He had spent his life defending a planet that may already be dead. Then re-entered, holding a report. Enemy fleet will reach weapons range in 2 hours, she said. Understood, he replied. There's more, she added, voice heavy. Captain Lin. He's gone. What? His ship turned. They jumped into hyperspace 10 minutes ago. No warning. No message. Elric closed his eyes. One less ship. One more wound. He turned to the command console. Prepare emergency override. What are you doing? Rhea asked. If more captains lose faith, we fall before Thorn even gets here. She stepped forward. You're not going to. Yes, he said, unlocking fleet control to my ship. If anyone tries to run, we stop them. She stared at him. That's a big gamble. He looked back at her. Everything we do now is a gamble. As the Varnak fleet prepared to fire, strange energy signals lit up in the distance. Rhea shouted from her console, picking up new contacts. Large fleet, unknown ID. Elric stepped forward fast. Show me. The screen changed. A ripple in space. Then another. One by one, ships appeared, huge and strange looking. Old metal. Big guns. Glowing shields. Human. Dozens. Then hundreds. The Guardian Armada had arrived. Cheers filled the bridge. But Elric's joy didn't last long. One signal came through. Priority code. From Admiral Thorn himself. Rhea opened the channel. Thorn's face appeared, older than Elric remembered, but eyes still sharp. Commander Elric, I see you held the line. We did, Elric replied. You'll be remembered for this. No time for that now, Elric said. They're almost on top of us. Thorn nodded. Then let's remind the galaxy why humans are never counted out. Together, the two fleets moved as one. Elric's 12 battered ships in front. Thorn's armada behind, a wall of ancient firepower. They had one chance. One strike. One gamble. Elric looked at his crew. No retreat. No surrender, he said. Let's make them pay for every inch. The Varnak opened fire first. 1,000 beams of red light burned across space. But this time, humanity didn't run. They answered back. With everything. Fire in the black. The first beam hit hard. It tore through the outer wing of Grey Talon, slicing deep into its armor. The ship spun, lights flashing, smoke trailing from its side. But it did not fall. Commander Elric stood tall on the Sparrow's Falls bridge, his eyes burning with focus. All ships, he ordered. Return fire. Make them feel it. From the front line, the 12 human ships, bruised, broken, and burning, opened fire. Railguns roared. Missiles howled. Lasers lit up the dark like lightning across a stormy sky. But this time, they were not alone. Behind them, the Guardian Armada moved forward in perfect formation. Ships from another time. Heavy armor, massive guns, energy shields that flickered like stars. Admiral Nico Thorne stood aboard the Ark, the heart of the ancient fleet. He watched the battle unfold with calm eyes. "Engage," he said. And then, hell opened. Hundreds of Varnak ships turned to meet the new threat. They swarmed like insects, fast and angry. But the old human fleet was not soft. From the storm color, plasma cannons fired in wide arcs, melting enemy hulls. From the Iron Wreath, shockwave torpedoes launched, exploding in bursts that shattered Varnak shields. The Ash Wing, under Captain Jun Calda, dove into the enemy swarm like a blade, spinning and firing from all sides. Each shot from the ancient fleet hit with the power of old war gods. They had been asleep for 2 centuries. Now they were wide awake and furious. On the Sparrow's fall, the crew shook as more shots struck the shields. "Shields down to 40%, shouted an officer. Elric didn't blink. "Redirect auxiliary power. Hold steady." The ship trembled again, but it stayed in the fight. Behind him, Rhea leaned over her console. "Thorne's fleet is drawing fire. We have an opening." Elric's eyes narrowed. "Then let's drive it in." He opened a fleet-wide channel. "To all remaining ships, push forward. We punch through the middle. Break their line." Now, his small fleet, broken as it was, surged ahead. The Varnak didn't expect it. They thought the front line was weak. They didn't think the humans had the will left to charge. They were wrong. The Skybreaker fired 2 full payloads at once, its engines overheating. The torchline spun sideways to protect a smaller vessel, taking 3 direct hits and still firing back. One by one, human ships pushed through. And then, Elric's ship joined them. The Sparrow's fall led the charge. On board the Ark, Thorne watched with cold pride. "They're giving us space," his tactical officer said. "Then we give them fire," Thorne replied. He pointed at the biggest Varnak command ship, a floating fortress the size of a city. "Target that one. Bring it down." 10 ships turned. Dozens of cannons locked on. A silent countdown began. And then, the fortress exploded. A soundless bloom of fire filled the dark. Varnak ships jerked back. Some began to fall out of formation. Others scattered. Their command was broken, but not their rage. From the edge of the battlefield, a new Varnak formation emerged. Faster, sleeker, strange glowing energy on their hulls. Rhea gasped. "What are those?" Elric frowned. "New class." "No," she whispered. "We've never seen them before." The new Varnak ships moved differently. They blinked in and out of view, their weapons twisted like liquid light. They began picking off human ships, one by one. No warning, no trace. Even Thorne's old fleet started to struggle. On board the Ash Wing, Captain Jun shouted, "They're inside our shields. They're warping through." Her screen went dark. Elric clenched his fists. The Guardian Armada was powerful, yes, but the Varnak were adapting. Fast. Too fast. Admiral Thorne called Elric directly. "We need to change tactics," he said. "This isn't the same battle." "I noticed," Elric replied. "What do you suggest?" "I need 5 minutes," Thorne said. "Just 5. What are you doing?" "Waking up something even older." The signal cut. Elric looked at Rhea. "We give him 5 minutes, even if it kills us." And then came the worst moment. The torchline exploded, followed by Skybreaker. Then Grey Talon. 3 of Elric's last 12 were gone in under a minute. He bit his lip hard. "Get us closer." Rhea turned to him. "Closer? That's suicide." "No," he said. "It's bait." They pushed the Sparrow's fall right into the path of the new Varnak ships. "They'll come for us," Elric said. "And when they do..." He didn't finish the sentence. Back on the Ark, deep inside the lower decks, a sealed chamber hissed open. Thorn stood in front of a massive cylinder. Inside was a weapon that no one had used in 200 years. The Black Lance, a long-range dark energy cannon, banned during peacetime. Too powerful, too unstable, too final. Thorn activated it. Power levels surged, lights turned red, warning systems screamed. On the bridge, Vera spoke calmly. Weapon charging, ready to fire in 90 seconds. Target the Varnak workships, Thorn said. Clean shot. The Sparrow's fall took another direct hit. Elric shouted, "Where's Thorn?" Rhea answered, "He's charging something big. Almost ready. Tell him we're out of time." Varnak ships closed in. The Sparrow's fall spun wildly. Shields gone. Hull bleeding air. 1 more second. 2 more. Then, the Black Lance fired. From the arc, a beam of pure black shot forward. It didn't light up the sky. It swallowed it. Varnak ships in its path froze in place, ripped apart from the inside. Their strange warp fields collapsed. In seconds, the entire new formation was gone. The battlefield went still. Rhea whispered, "What was that?" Elric let out a long breath. Hope. The tide had turned. For the first time in weeks, in months, the humans were not just surviving. They were winning. But the war was far from over. The Varnak still had one more secret, and they were about to unleash it. The Varnak counterstrike. The battlefield was quiet again. Ships floated like ghosts through black space. Flames flickered on broken hulls. Didras spun slowly, the remains of both human and alien ships lost in the fire. But for a moment, it felt like victory. Commander Elric stood on the bridge of the Sparrow's fall. His face was bruised, his uniform torn, yet his eyes were sharp. "They're pulling back," Rhea said, looking at her console. "Varnak ships are retreating." Elric narrowed his eyes. Too easy. Behind them, cheers echoed through the halls. Soldiers hugged each other. Medics patched wounds. Engineers lit cigarettes with shaky hands. Hope returned for the first time in weeks. But Elric didn't celebrate. "Open a channel to Thorn," he ordered. On board the Ark, Admiral Thorn looked like a ghost from a different war. Old uniform, tired face, yet his presence still filled the command deck like gravity. "We pushed them back," Elric said, appearing on the screen. "Why aren't we chasing?" "Because this isn't the end," Thorn replied. "They don't retreat like this unless they're hiding something." Elric nodded. "So what now?" Thorn's voice was cold. "We wait, and we watch the stars. Carefully." Hours passed. Ships recharged. Bodies were buried in space, sealed in metal coffins, each one pushed into the dark with honor. Rhea walked the lower decks, checking on the wounded. The silence felt wrong, unnatural. Then the alarms began. One ship, no, one object, was approaching fast. Faster than anything they'd seen before. It didn't show up on regular scans. It had no heat, no power signature, but it moved like death itself. "Contact inbound." A young officer shouted on Sparrow's fall. "But it's not a ship. At least, not like anything we've seen." Elric rushed to the screen. It appeared from behind the debris field, huge, black, and moving like a living creature. Tentacles of metal curled around its body. Its surface looked like stone and skin at the same time. Lights pulsed across its surface like veins. "What in God's name?" Rhea whispered. The screen lit up with new data. Thorn's voice came through the line, sharp and controlled. "That's the Varnak Leviathan. The Leviathan. A living warship. Not built. Grown. It didn't have guns. It didn't need them. It was the weapon. It fed on energy. It ate ships." The torchline Eye, a support frigate, moved to scan it. Before it could blink, the Leviathan struck. A beam of dark red plasma hit the frigate, and the ship vanished. No explosion, no wreckage, just erased. Elric's heart dropped. All ships, fall back. Now. The Leviathan moved forward, slowly, confident, like a predator that knew the prey had nowhere to run. Thorn's ships opened fire, railguns, missiles, plasma. Nothing worked. Each shot that hit it vanished into its body. The Leviathan absorbed everything. Then it responded. A pulse burst out, silent, but deadly. 6 human ships lost power instantly. No fire, no noise, just cold silence. Thorn called Elric again. This thing isn't just a weapon. It's a message. What kind of message? Elric asked. That the Varnak never intended to win by numbers, Thorn said. They built this thing to end us, to remind the galaxy that resistance is hopeless. Elric's face darkened. Then we give it a message of our own. But how you kill something that eats energy? Rhea searched old war files, classified data from the first Varnak contact, 2 centuries ago. She found a name. Project Sunlance, a secret weapon. One never tested, one so dangerous it was locked away by order of Earth's old government. But one thing stood out. It was not based on energy. It used a different force, gravity compression. The weapon crushed space itself, and space, unlike energy, could not be eaten. Elric sent the file to Thorn. On board the Ark, the engineers argued. It was never finished. It'll destroy the ship firing it. We don't even have the parts. Thorn raised one hand. Then we build it, even if it breaks us. For the next 6 hours, every human ship focused on one goal. Buy time. They dodged. They baited. They ran suicide missions to keep the Leviathan busy. The Ash-wing lost both wings but still fired missiles until it was swallowed whole. The Skybreaker Eye crashed into the Leviathan's side and detonated its core. It barely scratched it. Elric led a formation of 4 ships in a frontal distraction. 3 didn't come back. But they gave the engineers just enough time. The Sunlance was ready. It had never been fired. It was mounted to the bottom of the Ark, tied together with pieces of destroyed ships, patched with emergency wiring, cooled with recycled water. It had one shot. That was all. The Leviathan moved closer to the human fleet's core. It began charging its final pulse, a wave strong enough to destroy everything left. Elric shouted over comms. Thorn, we need it now. On board the Ark, Thorn stood in front of the weapon controls. A lightning shot, Vera said. A long pause. Then, fire. The Sunlance did not shoot light. It did not shoot sound. It bent the world. A crack opened in space. A silent tear. And from it, pressure exploded outward, invisible but unstoppable. The Leviathan felt it. It screamed, not through sound, but across the minds of every human nearby. A wave of pain, anger, fear. Then, silence. The Leviathan began to collapse. Not explode. Collapse. Its body folded inward, piece by piece, sucked into the tear in space, until it was gone. Nothing left. Not even dust. The battlefield was quiet again. Truly quiet. No more Varnak signals. No more weapons. Just breathing. And disbelief. Elric sat back in his chair, exhausted. Rhea looked at him. Is it over? He didn't answer. Because far away, on Varnak homeworlds, the real masters had just watched their god die. And they were not done yet. The lance and the betrayal. They had done the impossible. The Leviathan was gone. Across the battlefield, broken human ships floated in silence. For a moment, the stars seemed calm again. It was the kind of quiet that only comes after terrible violence. Commander Elric stood on the Sparrow's Fall, staring at the view outside. Wreckage drifted like snow in space, pieces of alien armor, twisted metal from Earth ships. Even now, fires burned across some hulls. They had won, but barely. Damage report, he asked, voice rough from smoke and exhaustion. Rhea turned from her screen. Half the fleet is gone. The rest, barely holding together. But we're alive. Elric gave a slow nod. Alive is good. But inside, something felt wrong. Too quiet. Too soon. He had learned long ago, true danger doesn't always come from the enemy. On board the Ark, Admiral Thorne leaned on a railing as medics wrapped a wound on his arm. The sun lance had worked, yes, but it had pushed the ship beyond its limits. Core temperature rising, Vera warned. We must shut down weapons systems to avoid meltdown. Do it, Thorne said. Around him, crew members worked fast. Sparks flew from damaged walls. Fires had broken out on lower decks. Even now, they were putting the ship back together with whatever they had left. He walked toward the war table. Only 3 ships from the original Guardian Armada were fully operational. Earth had no backup. This was it. And yet, somehow, he still believed. Until he received a message. A strange, private code. Human origin. Encrypted. Thorne opened it. 1 sentence. Stop the war, or we all burn. Elric received the same message minutes later. He read it twice, then called Rhea to his side. Track that signal, he said. Find out where it came from. Rhea typed fast. Her eyes widened. It came from inside our fleet. Elric's voice hardened. Which ship? She hesitated. The Silver Path. The Silver Path was one of the few Guardian ships that hadn't fought much during the Leviathan attack. It had stayed back, claiming power failure. Now it floated too quietly. Elric opened a secure call to Admiral Thorne. You saw the message. Yes, Thorne replied. I'm sending a team. No, Elric said. I'm going myself. An hour later, Elric and Rhea stood in the hangar bay of the Silver Path. It was too clean, too organized. No sign of battle. No damage. A tall man stepped forward to greet them. Captain Drawn Mercer. Former Earth Navy. Brilliant strategist. Respected leader. But Elric had never trusted him. Mercer smiled politely. Commander Elric, you didn't need to visit. We're just making repairs. Elric's face was cold. You didn't fight. Mercer raised an eyebrow. I was preserving resources. We had a power drain. Firing would have risked reactor failure. Convenient, Rhea said. Mercer ignored her. Elric stepped closer. Did you send the message? Mercer didn't answer. Instead, he led them down a narrow hallway. To a sealed room. Inside, a glowing device sat on a table. Varnak tech. Illegally modified. Dangerous. And transmitting. Elric stepped back. What is that? Mercer spoke calmly. A peace device. Rhea snapped. That's alien communications tech. That's banned. Mercer didn't blink. It's how I've kept this ship alive. I've been speaking to the Varnak. Elric's hand moved to his sidearm. Mercer held up a hand. Wait, just listen. He walked to the device. The Varnak offered me a deal, he said. They've lost their Leviathan. They're angry, but they don't want total war. They just tried to destroy all life, Rhea shouted. Mercer nodded. And we just killed their god. Do you really think this ends with a handshake? No, they will send more. And next time, we won't survive. Elric's voice was low. Dangerous. What did you offer them? Mercer took a breath. I offered them Thorne. For a second, time stopped. Even the engines seemed to hold their breath. Rhea's mouth fell open. You offered the Admiral. Mercer looked her in the eye. The Varnak see him as the key. He's the last living architect of the Guardian fleet, the one who built the lance. They think if he dies, humanity will break. Elric's voice was quiet. You think they'll keep their word? Mercer shrugged. I think survival is better than pride. Elric's next words were slow and cold. You're a traitor. Mercer looked at him calmly. I'm a realist. He pressed a button on the wall. Security doors slammed shut. Outside the ship, Sparrow's Fall picked up the alert. Inside, Elric and Rhea were trapped. Mercer pulled a gun from his belt. Not fast, not shaking, like he had planned this for days. You could help me, he said. You've seen the cost. We won't survive another Leviathan. Let the Admiral go. We save what's left. Elric stared at him, then smiled. You talk too much, and moved. The fight was fast and brutal. Elric slammed into Mercer, knocking the weapon aside. Rhea grabbed the gun and fired once, into the control panel. Sparks flew. Doors opened. More footsteps echoed down the hallway. Elric's soldiers charging in. Mercer reached for the alien device, trying to send the signal. Elric grabbed his arm and broke it with one quick strike. Mercer fell to his knees, screaming. Take him, Elric ordered. Back on the Ark, Thorn listened silently as Elric reported everything. Thorn said only 3 words. Destroy the device. And it was done. The traitor was jailed. The signal ended. But the damage, that still remained. Thorn turned to Vera. Status. She replied, we are almost out of fuel. Most ships cannot make another jump. Thorn closed his eyes. There's one more battle coming, he said. And now, we fight it knowing one of our own wanted us to lose. In the stars ahead, a signal pulsed. Varnak command ships. Huge. Hundreds of them. Moving toward Earth. The final battle had begun. And this time, no one was holding back. The human roar. The stars were moving. Not because of speed or distance, but because of the war that was coming. From the far edge of the galaxy, the Varnak High Fleet advanced. Massive command ships, carriers as large as moons, war engines powered by living cores. This was not just an army, it was an extinction wave, and it was heading straight for Earth. Commander Elric stood on the bridge of the Sparrow's Fall. His ship was cracked, leaking power, and held together by prayer and scrap metal. But his voice was steady. How many? He asked. Rhea scanned the data. More than 300 Varnak warships. Elric looked at the map. How many of us? She hesitated. 42. He nodded. No panic, no fear, only purpose. On board the Ark, Admiral Thorn gathered his officers. He stood before them, the weight of 2 centuries on his shoulders. We cannot run, he said. We cannot hide. If Earth falls, there will be no more colonies, no more humans. His voice dropped to a whisper. No more us. The officers looked tired. Some were bleeding. Some had lost limbs. Some had lost their faith, but not their will. Thorn stepped forward. We don't need to win today, he said. We only need to be remembered. Across space, Earth listened. The message from Thorn echoed across all human frequencies. So mining ships, to old satellites, to colony scouts and drifting cruisers, to anyone hearing this, Earth is under threat. We are the last wall. If you can fight, come. If you can fly, come. If you can pray, come. And they did. From hidden stations and lost systems, from dark corners of the void, old cargo ships, training vessels, even decommissioned war relics dragged from orbital museums. The fleet grew. Not strong, not clean, but human. And when they finally met above Earth, it was the largest human fleet seen in 100 years. The Varnak High Command didn't speak. It didn't offer peace. It didn't demand surrender. It simply approached, ready to erase. The final stand began at Earth's edge. Elric's ship led the front line. Behind him, Thorn's Guardian Armada spread wide, forming a giant shield over the planet. The Varnak fleet moved into position, black, sleek, endless. And then, it started. The first blast struck the Skyturner, shattering it into 100 pieces. Humans returned fire, old guns, new tricks, tractor mines, light nets, gravity spikes. One Varnak cruiser exploded, its burning body slamming into two more. But for every alien ship destroyed, two more pushed forward. It was like holding back a sea with a bucket. Elric barked orders through smoke and chaos. Hold the line. His ship lost a wing. Fire spread through the halls. Engineers died trying to keep the engines alive. Rhea shouted, "They're breaking through on the left." He turned. "Tell Captain June. Hold at all costs." She hesitated. "She's already gone." Elric closed his eyes, just for a second, then opened them. "Reform the line. No one breaks through." On the Ark, Thorn watched as the Varnak began forming a triangle formation. He recognized it. They were going for a final sweep, a burn-and-clear tactic designed to erase all ships in one motion. He had one option left. "Prepare the Ark for crash protocol," he said. The crew turned. "Sir, we rammed the lead command ship." "Sir, we won't survive." "That's the point," Thorn said. "We end them, or they end us." But before the Ark could move, something else happened. A new signal, a deep low signal. From Earth, not from orbit, from the surface. A voice, old, human, broadcast across all frequencies. "We are still here." It wasn't a commander, not a soldier, just a voice, a farmer, broadcasting from a broken radio tower. Then another joined him, a child's voice, then an engineer, then an old lady on a mountain holding a makeshift radio. "Don't give up. Keep going. Earth stands." And from the ships above, the humans listened. Something changed. Pilots wept but smiled. Gunners reloaded faster. Wounded crew crawled back to stations. Elric looked at his crew. "You hear that?" They nodded. He smiled. "We don't die today." On every ship, someone began repeating it. A chant, a whisper, then a roar. "We are still here." Again. Louder. "We are still here." The chant filled the comms. It echoed across the stars. And even the Varnak heard it. Thorn canceled the Ark's crash order. Instead, he aimed every remaining weapon. Target their command core. Elric joined the command. So did every ship. One last shot. All at once. A countdown began. Fire. The sky lit up like the birth of a star. All ships. All guns. One target. The Varnak command ship trembled. Its shields failed. Its core glowed too bright. And then, it shattered. The Varnak paused. They had never seen this before. Not from humans. Not from prey. And they knew. This war would cost them too much. One by one, their ships turned. Flood. Gone. The silence after the battle was unreal. No cheers. Just breathing. Tears. Hugs. A sky full of fire and victory. On the Sparrow's fall, Elric sat on the floor, back against a wall, blood on his face. Rhea walked over and sat beside him. "We won," she said. "No," he replied. "We survived." A week later, ships gathered above Earth. Not to fight, but to honor. They read names, thousands of them. They buried the lost in space. They rebuilt. And in every ship, in every station, on every colony far away, one phrase remained, not written in stone, not carved in history, just passed from voice to voice. "We are still here."